There's some really excellent trials here at Flackerberg, and every year we have successful trials here. But I think particularly the Euroweed trial that we have here, this is a project that we've been running for several years now, led by Lisa Jurgensen.
Here we do lots of different research. Among that, we do lots of field trials where we see how we can manage diseases using cultural factors, varieties, as well as fungicides and biologicals and different substances.
The objective of this series of trials is to have independent people carrying out trials in different geographies, so in different countries, different regions, different varieties, disease pressures.
Well, I think it's important as part of the requirements when products are on the market, new fungicides has to go on the market. There have to be independent institutions investigating how the products perform. And we have this certificate so we can carry out independent field trials, and they can be then part of the package which the companies have to deliver when they have to apply for a new authorization of their products.
The disease pressure across Europe has been very variable this year. We've had some countries with a lot of rain early on in the season. So the Nordics, Baltics, the UK had a lot of rain, and I think we were expecting high disease pressure. But in some regions, we've then had a much drier summer, and yellow rust has dominated. So really, I think it's a region of two halves. The north of Europe, quite wet and then getting a little warmer, so a lot of septoria. If we look to parts of France, parts of Germany and Poland, we actually have more yellow rust. But I think the excellent thing with the Revysol-based products is we can cater for all disease pressures and all disease types. So depending on the partner active ingredient with Revysol, we can control septoria highly effectively, but also yellow rust and brown rust.
Well, the disease pressure, and particularly in this field, is pretty high because we have chosen a susceptible variety which gets a lot of septoria. So this gives us unique, good possibilities to actually differentiate between the products.
I think here at Flackerberg we can really see that Revysol has come into its own, and the Revysol-based products. The combination with Xemium is highly effective. The combination with pyraclostrobin is also really, really good. It's an excellent partner, but it's also an excellent azole on its own.
We are independent in our trial testing, so I don't give specific recommendations. I test the efficacy, and I can definitely see that this is an interesting compound which can be put into a spray program in various ways. Revysol controls the diseases well, and what we see is that compared to the old azoles, we can see that Revysol performs better. So this makes it, of course, a new and interesting product.
So effective with Revysol, it really is highly adaptable to different weather conditions. This might seem a strange thing for a fungicide, but even if we have high UV radiation, we know that Revysol is still effective. This isn't the case for active ingredients like prothioconazole that we know is impacted when we have high UV radiation. But also many of our products are very rain fast, which in times of the year when we have rainfall after spraying can be a real challenge.
If farmers just rely on the same fungicides and treat over and over again, then they don't work after some years. So we need to do things in a more intelligent way, use varieties, cultural practices and crop rotation to minimize disease pressure and get a good and sustainable crop protection.
As we have really strict regulatory environment now with 1107, to get any new active ingredient on the market is really a challenge. To get an azole on the market is even more of a challenge. And Revysol is the first DMI in 20 years to be launched in Europe.
We don't want the farmer to lose because of diseases, so we want to guide them in the right direction on how they can manage diseases. This might involve the use of fungicides or chemicals or pesticides, but we try to find out how we can use as little as possible. As much as necessary, but as little as possible.
We had an amazing launch event across Europe, the Revysol Revolution. We've had launch events across the Nordics, Baltics, in Lithuania, in Denmark, in the UK as well, in Germany and in France and in Poland. I think the reception from the farmers and the consultants who we presented Revysol to was really great excitement and great enthusiasm. The reason Revysol is really so exciting to the farmers and growers is it's the first azole that's been launched in over 20 years. It's a real challenge for us to get new active ingredients registered now in Europe due to the complex regulations that we have to stick to. I think to get Revysol launched and registered so quickly has been a real testament to the hard work of the BASF team.
BASF. We create chemistry.